Hey y'all, it's Nikki. Welcome to another episode of the WERKin Mommas podcast. This, I believe, is episode 20. So I am super excited to be 20 episodes in considering. I'll just say that I am actually my family and I are going on week 3 or probably week 4. I don't know. I done lost count. Week 3 or week 4 of quarantine and chill, given the COVID-19 pandemic. So before I jump into the episode today, which I'm going to talk about some things that business owners and entrepreneurs need to know, I just hope that all of you are doing well and staying safe and taking it seriously, of course, and using this time to do something that you've always wanted to do. And I was laughing about this the other day because I said all of us busy working mamas who wish we had more more time to be home, we're now questioning that logic because it's a lot going on right now in my house, and I'm sure other people's houses, where at 8 o'clock the mama, the chef, the teacher, and then by 9 o'clock I'm in my office having a meeting, trying to have a meeting where I'm talking about accounting and financial statements for a few minutes, and then I have to mute to tell somebody to stop or turn the TV down. I'm trying to work. I mean, it's been a lot going on, but we've also done a lot of fun things. We've watched a lot of movies and shows together, and I hope the sound won't come through, but right now my family is watching a movie and the surround sound is on, so I can hear it piercing through the walls. I'm upstairs, they're downstairs, but it's still it's all good. We're all human. We have things to do. Even when we're outside of our office, we still have to come home and work. And so now we're in this period of adjustment and just having to figure out how we're going to make all of this work from the comfort of our homes and still try to keep some normalcy and some peace. I was on the call the other day and somebody's like, I hope all the parents are sane or safe or something like that. And I just thought it was the funniest thing. But I just wanted to put that out there. I hope y'all are doing well, staying safe, using this time to work on your businesses, work on your brand. If you are an employee or employpreneur, spending time with your family. My daughter got a tough lesson in Monopoly the other day. I had to talk her out of her feelings because I bankrupted her. But it was all business. It wasn't personal. I wanted her to learn the rules of the game, and she played really well, but she didn't like the ending, and we had to have a conversation about that. But other than that, just trying to keep some normalcy, make the best of the time, spend some family time, some downtime, and I hope y'all are all doing the same thing. So really where this episode came from today is that since we have all this extra time, I was on social media and just looking at what some of the business owners have been posting about what they're doing and what they're working on. And the one caveat I will put out there, which I might do a separate episode about this, is this COVID-19 pandemic, this coronavirus has really given business owners a hard lesson in disaster recovery planning and business continuity processes, because with the sudden shift of everybody having to work from home, I hope that a lot of you had already identified your business critical processes so that those could continue seamlessly for the most part. But those of you who had not gone through that exercise in the past, or when you first started your business, then you may be on the reactive side of all of this and trying to figure things out. So let me know if y'all want to talk more about that. I might do an episode about that. A lot of my business episodes, business related episodes, are me answering questions from a ton of people who have reached out to me. And I want it to be educational, yet still delivered in a format that makes sense for my audience. And so if you ever come across any type of business question or decision or something you want me to talk about, I'm more than happy to do an episode about that. So hit me up at Nick Winston CPA on IG or Twitter, and I'm happy to do an episode to answer your questions. But this episode, I was scrolling social media and I saw this post. I had actually put a post out and asked some entrepreneurs some things just based on some research I was doing, but I was curious about the business owners who have LLCs. And I was wondering, if you are a business owner and you have an LLC, what made you select an LLC? And I meant that from the context of what made you select an LLC out of all the other options you had to choose from, like a partnership, an S Corp, a C Corp, a sole proprietorship, a limited partnership, just so many different options. And some of the questions I got, or some of the responses I got to the question, are the reason I'm doing, or partly the reason that I'm doing this episode today, because some of the answers were so left field that they didn't even make sense. And somebody said I formed an LLC because I wanted tax breaks or tax benefits, and my eyebrow was raised. Like, how, what kind of tax benefits are you realizing? An LLC is a pass-through entity, which means that any profits, losses, or whatever flow through to the members of the LLC on their personal tax return. So unless the LLC was formed in conjunction with some other tax planning mechanisms, I couldn't really make that make sense. And then some of the other things were just some just odd questions. I wanted to be seen as legit, or odd responses. I wanted to be seen as legit, and just so many things that I didn't get. And I said, that tells me right there. And a lot of these were business owners of color, and we tend to be the ones who don't have access to this information. We don't always reach out to a professional. And I'm not generalizing, I'm going off of experiences I've had with people that I know who are business owners and think they're doing business the right way from an accounting or regulatory standpoint, and then they get these big tax bills, or they get hit with all these different things that, and they're like, damn, I didn't even know I was supposed to be doing this, or I didn't even know about this. So it speaks to our lack of access to the information that helps us start our businesses out on the right foot. So that's really the gist of this podcast, is to clear up some of the misconceptions about business structures, about LLCs and the other structures that are available to you. I also saw somebody posted that her accountant told her a new business should never be formed as an LLC. So I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm not even gonna go into trying to define that or do anything with that, because it's not true. So as a CPA, as a Black female CPA who works a lot with small business owners of color, I will say this: be careful who you let into your business's books. Be careful who you let see your financial information, and be careful and be leery of, well, I won't say leery. Think closely about the people who you are taking financial advice from, especially if they are not a certified professional. And even the books that you read, and the people that you talk to, and the guidance that you seek out from people, make sure that it's credible information, make sure that it's accurate information, because one false move or one thing that you don't know about, i.e., sales tax, for people who have drop shipping businesses, which I already have that on the list as an episode, because people saw this whole, oh, I can make shirts and ship them all over the country and I don't have no inventory, or I can ship these hats, or I can have this online boutique and ship it to all these other states, not thinking about sales tax and whether or not you've created economic nexus, which means you have an additional liability to your business. So even if you look profitable, once you factor in the sales taxes that you may not be aware of, it might change the numbers of your business. So I know that was a mouthful, but I just wanted to say that because there's so much misinformation going around, and I don't want us to have a misstep in our business just because we're misinformed. And so I've seen people, the overwhelming response I got from that question when I asked people why they chose an LLC as a structure. They're usually either they started an LLC because they saw somebody else do it. They know somebody who runs a business and it has LLC at the end, so they figured that was the way to go and they were going to do the same thing. I've also heard 90% of the people who responded say um, something like, well, I started the LLC because if somebody sues me, they can only sue the business. They can't take my house and my car. That's the typical response that I get, which lets me know that if that was your reason for starting an LLC, most of these LLC owners have no idea what they are doing. First of all, it's a mindset thing. You're not even thinking like a business person if you decide to pick a structure so that you won't get sued and so that you won't lose your house and your car. What kind of business are you starting where your main goal is to not get sued? I guess is how I'm looking at that. But I want us to stop that thinking. I want us to get out of that mindset and stop thinking like this, because I've seen some $1 billion business ideas where I'm like, oh, that is so dope. That is amazing. Like, we have great brands, great products, great ideas, great services. And we need to get in the place and position ourselves so our businesses can grow. And that starts with a change in mindset. You have to think about what what your objective is before you select an entity, whether it's an LLC, a partnership, an S corporation, a C corporation, a limited partnership, any of those, a sole proprietorship. You need to be clear on what your short and long-term business goals are. If you working on the next big thing, if you think you just have such a great idea that the business is going to pop, that you're going to look really attractive to investors, an LLC might not be the best route for you. And before I continue, let me just say this. There's nothing wrong with an LLC structure. And I don't want to skew this episode as if I'm saying that. What I'm saying is have a basis for the selection that you make, for the decision that you make, because you could be missing out on tax saving opportunities or other personal protections that an LLC provides had you considered other structures. So the goal of this episode today is to, number one, defy some of these myths and clarify this wrong information that's being circulated and shared with business owners. The other thing is, if you don't know or if you're not clear on what your short term business goals are and what your long term business goals are, then after you listen to this, I want you to think about that and I want you to write those down, whether it's tax savings, whether it's, again, personal protection, which is big for people, personal asset protection, whether it's you're in business with multiple people and you need to have guidelines and operating agreements in place. So many other things to think about aside from just not getting sued. So there's really, when people say I started an LLC because somebody else did, there's really no way to make a business structure decision based on what somebody else is doing, because it's very much a function of what you are doing in your business. So, talk to a CPA like myself or an attorney so that they can walk you through the pros and cons of each type of business structure and help you make the best selection. So, one thing I've done, I have a private business community. It's called the Biz Suite, the BIZ Suite, and is designed to provide this type of information in detail for entrepreneurs. So I have a 5 module course for business owners where we're talking about this. So selecting an entity, let me get my water, hold on. Super plain water today. No lemon, no vinegar, no grapefruit slices, no mint, basil. Super basic water today. But as I was saying, so I have a 5 module course in my private community, and it's designed to provide this type of education and resources for business owners, whether you're new, whether you just need to refresh your business or just improve some things in your processes. The 5 module course touches on everything from business structures to your accounting functions, your chart of accounts, managing your cash flow. We're talking about HR in small business because that's a huge thing, developing processes and standard operating procedures. So, what I'm going to do is put a link in the show notes to where y'all can access the first module for free, which is this very topic, but it's way more in depth. So, we're talking about corporations, the S Corp and the C Corp. What are the pros and cons of those? Same with partnerships, talking more about LLCs, talking about sole proprietorships, and thinking about walking it through as if you're saying, okay, out of these 5 choices, I need a business structure that meets all of my business goals or most of my business goals. And so again, I'll put the link to it in the show notes and really put that out there as a resource for y'all. But the thing I like about it is that people are so amazed by the things that they hear, like, oh, I didn't know an LLC did that, or I didn't know, I didn't even consider looking at a partnership, or maybe a corporation is not a bad idea. The thing with corporations is people tend to think about big brands as being the only entities capable of forming a corporation. So a lot of this goes back to being informed. And I want this podcast to be a source for you as you run your business or as you start your business. Or I've had somebody say, I listen to the podcast and I take notes, which is crazy because I thought I was the only person that did that. A lot of my favorite podcasts, I take notes as I listen to them because they provide valuable information that can help me in some of the things that I'm doing. So I just wanted to put that out there, is don't base your business decision on just not wanting to be sued. There are so many things that you probably want to do in your business that choosing the right structure can help you do. There are some tax advantages to selecting certain business structures. There are things that you can put in place to help you manage if you're a business that operates with multiple partners or multiple investors. So I really just want y'all to be informed and make the right decisions and make sure that your businesses grow and that you start them off on the right foot and position them to grow. So if you have any questions, hit me up. My email is Nikki at nickWinstoncpa.com, just like it sounds. And I'm definitely going to do a sales tax episode because that's where I'm seeing a lot of entrepreneurs getting frustrated or being blindsided by these extra tax bills. Like, I didn't even know I had to do this. What even is this? What does this have to do with my business? So it's the information. It starts with information. Somebody put a question on Twitter the other day, like, what do you think is the biggest thing holding Black business owners back? And my answer was a one word answer. It's information. It's not having access to information. So, as a CPA, I'm more than happy to share that with business owners so that they're informed. It goes back to when you know better, you do better. So, if you have a specific business topic that you want me to discuss on an upcoming episode, or if you are just looking to get your business on the right footing, let's have a conversation. I also, in my firm, the Winston CPA Group, we do complimentary reviews of your business from a compliance standpoint. So we'll look at you being registered in your state. Have you filed all of the proper documents? Do you have all of the right permits and licenses in place? And help you monitor your renewals, because if you miss a renewal date, that could potentially dissolve your business administratively just by not handling paperwork. So if you would like to get a complimentary compliance review, let me know. Also, I'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. And again, just want to make sure we are out here crossing T's, dotting I's, making the right decisions, and keeping our eyes focused on all the right things. As a business owner, you are wearing multiple hats. So sometimes you're sales, sometimes you're IT, sometimes you're operations, sometimes you're legal, sometimes you're accounting, and you just cannot sustain that. And there are some business owners who make the investment up front to say, I'm going to get me a CPA, I'm going to get an attorney on my team just to make sure everything is everything. But then you have the entrepreneurs who are like, look, I just want to launch. I just need to get my product out there, and I will kind of jump out the plane and build my parachute as I go down. Nothing wrong with that. But as you build that parachute, don't leave the essential components, which are an attorney and a CPA who can really help you figure out how to build your parachute faster so that you have a softer landing, if that makes sense. So definitely just want y'all to be clear that there are more options than LLCs. I encourage you to explore them. Definitely tune into module 1 of the Biz Suite and the course that I've created for business owners. And I'll talk to y'all soon. If you are still looking for tax advice, there's some, well, I don't want to call it advice, tax best practices, some tax tips for entrepreneurs. If you go back a couple of episodes, it might be episode 4. That was one of the first episodes I did because I went to a conference and I had a circle of women telling me, I don't even know what I can write off. Can you give us some tips or some things that we might not be aware of that's tax deductible for our business? So I did an episode about that. Also, a lot of the episodes are based on what entrepreneurs have told me they want to know about the most. I've also done an episode on how to build your business and personal credit at the same time. Those pretty much go hand in hand. As a new business or a small business, a lot of times a personal guarantee is required from lenders. And so in order to personally guarantee your business credit, your personal credit has to be solid. So again, sharing information, making sure y'all are informed. We also provide tax preparation and planning services at the Winston CPA Group. So follow us on Instagram. We are at Winston CPA Group for all of your business needs, tax planning needs, strategic planning and advisory services. So thank y'all for tuning in to this podcast. Stay tuned for more. And again, hope everybody's staying well, staying safe, and I will talk to y'all soon.